This from Denny to open up the show. Denny writes, Kevin, is the reaction to Jayden Daniels a bit much and even more than you thought it would be? Question mark. Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the all-time PR blunders. I mean, Jayden has been made sport of for now 4 consecutive days. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it with a player that is so universally respected and well-liked. And I'm not talking about just fans or people in the media. I'm talking about the people he works with. Just so you know, he is highly respected, well-liked. There are none of these, behind the scenes. Yeah, you know what? I know it looks like everything's great, but trust me, behind closed doors, he's not that. He's different and he's difficult. None of that. You haven't gotten any of that in the first 2 years. It's all been positive. No one will tell you that behind the scenes, they're hearing any sort of, yeah, but, he's really not. No. I know I'm a big fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan. Have been since day one. But if I was also a big fan of Robert Griffin III, I thought it was one of the greatest rookie seasons ever. I was predicting multiple MVPs in the middle of 2012. Look, I don't think he had anything to do with this. I talked about this certainly Thursday. The first reaction before it really blew up was, to Denny's point, I'm like, this is a major self-inflicted blunder. Whomever is responsible for it is going to regret handling this issue the way they've handled it. It's terrible timing. It's terrible tact. Both were true in the moment. But no, I could not have predicted every single sports team across America wiping out number 5 from any sort of conversation. Some of them are funny. Most of them are just not. I can't believe this guy's been piled on the way he's been piled on. Again, if you were listening Thursday morning, I said this is total self-infliction. This was unnecessary, and whomever's responsible for it needs to learn from it, because this was terrible, terrible advice and a terrible, public relations thing to do. I don't think he had much, if anything, to do with it. I think he's just as disappointed as everybody else. I think the overarching thought from almost everybody from Baton Rouge to Washington is that his mother was at the center of this. She is his mother. She is also his agent. The problem is that sometimes parents create more problems than they are able to solve when they're involved with their kids in sports. And yes, there is a cutoff for that. It's like 8th grade, 9th grade, when they're able to begin advocating on their own behalf. It's real simple with this one. If she and anybody else don't learn from this, we're going to get more of these distractions down the road. And that won't be good for Jayden, and it won't be good for the team. I had somebody say to me over the weekend, look, at this point, it's now the team's job to completely cut out whatever sort of benefits people close to the quarterback are getting. They cannot be involved. They can't be signing autographs, during practices and joint practices, or deciding on, a joint practice, I'm not signing today, like she's the star or somebody else close to him. They're the stars. They're not. They're immaterial to all of this. Hopefully, they've learned a lesson. Hopefully, that will be the final distraction. And unlike Paul Feinbaum and others, I actually don't think that this is something that Jayden can't recover from. And I'm talking specifically about the relationship with LSU that has been damaged severely. I think he's good as a person. I think he will be great as a player. And I think that that relationship is recoverable. I think that others were being hyperbolic in terms of that relationship being dead in the water, over. They made a mistake. The timing of it was terrible. Anybody with any sense of anything in terms of how the public will react could have said to them, enough, stop right there. Somebody reached out to me over the weekend to say, this reminds me of like the old days where if they just came to a few people in the market that have been here forever and said, hey, what do you think about this? What if we do this? No, don't do that. That's an obvious don't do. But Dan and Bruce, Jason Wright, all of those people, they always sat behind the doors in Ashburn and made one stupid decision after another. Now, this was not the team. The team had nothing to do with this. Nothing. So the analogy is not a good one. But as it relates to Jayden's team, they might want to, in the future, before they decide to do something that has the potential to become newsworthy, check with some people who might have a good sense of how it might turn out. All right. Yeah, I did not think it would blow up the way it's blown up. I actually think it's really piling on. And in some cases, it's not even really, to be honest with you, that entertaining. They're just major reaches. There have been a couple that have been funny, but not really. I hope that he is dialed in, as his statement said, on football, and I hope he's moved on from this. This is not him, people. Not him. It just isn't. The issue is you can say this is a big nothing burger. It would be the biggest nothing burger of all time. And it ceases to become a nothing burger if the possibility of it happening again is still there. So the grown-ups involved have to make sure that this doesn't happen again and doesn't create an absolute unforced error and an unnecessary distraction for everybody. The good news is they're not playing real games right now. The good news is a month from now, hopefully we'll be talking about a season-opening win where he threw for 320, rushed for, I don't want to make it 100. Let's say he just rushed for 52 yards on just 4 rushes. How about that? And had a couple of touchdowns, and they beat the Eagles. Story over, obviously, for us. It will linger for him in Baton Rouge. I feel sorry about that because having that relationship with the place in which you won a Heisman Trophy and created so many memories for not only yourself, but the fan base, to have that end, and I don't think it will. I think it'll come back at some point. That would be sad. And especially knowing that it's not his doing. You know, all the LSU people seem to really have a grasp of this. And it's like they have a sense that this isn't him either. But it would make sense for him to come out and say, look, I love LSU. What happened last week was not something that I was really a part of or intended to happen. I absolutely don't want my name, image, and likeness erased from LSU's history. I'm a part of that. Look, the name, image, likeness thing, there's a lot of complications there with a lot of athletes. The way the NIL deals are structured, they're not in perpetuity. But at the same time, LSU can't eliminate him from their history. Team photos, team films, and videos. Understood if they're continuing to prop him up solo and make money off him. But I don't know. There was a mutually beneficial relationship. Usually is. You know, these players can't go from high school, wait 3 years to the number 2 overall pick. They have to play college football. They've got to do it in conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten. They've got to do it at institutions that have, you know, over a century of history and of brand built up. It is a tremendous marketing platform. College sports are in this country. And players that play them benefit from them because it's a free marketing platform. And now they're getting paid on top of that. All right.